The Shadows of Silent Hollow. Nestled deep in the Appalachian Mountains lies the forgotten town of Silent Hollow. Once a thriving mining community, it now stands abandoned, its streets overgrown and buildings crumbling. The town's history is steeped in tragedy, with stories of miners who never returned from the depths and families who vanished without a trace. Locals avoid the area, claiming it is cursed and haunted by restless spirits. Chapter 1: The Arrival. Dr. Emily Carter, a renowned historian and folklorist, received an enigmatic letter from an anonymous sender, urging her to visit Silent Hollow. The letter spoke of hidden diaries and artifacts that could shed light on the town's dark past. Intrigued by the mystery and potential historical significance, Emily decided to investigate, accompanied by her colleague, Dr. James Foster. They arrived at the edge of Silent Hollow as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the derelict buildings. The air was heavy with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves and distant hoot of an owl. Despite a growing sense of unease, Emily and James pressed on, eager to uncover the town's secrets. Chapter 2: The First Night. As darkness fell, they found shelter in the old town hall, one of the few buildings still standing. The interior was a time capsule of the early 1900s, with dusty furniture, faded photographs, and cobweb-covered chandeliers. They set up their equipment and prepared for the night, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. The first sign of trouble came in the form of a distant, mournful wail, echoing through the empty streets. Emily dismissed it as the wind, but James was not so sure. As they explored the town hall, they discovered a series of old diaries belonging to the town's founder, Samuel Grayson. The entries spoke of strange occurrences, mysterious disappearances, and a growing sense of dread among the townsfolk. Later that night, as they reviewed their findings, the temperature in the room plummeted. Their breath became visible in the freezing air, and the sound of footsteps echoed from the upper floors. Armed with flashlights, they ventured upstairs, finding nothing but empty rooms. However, a sense of being watched lingered, and the shadows seemed to move of their own accord. Chapter 3: The Haunting Begins. The following day, Emily and James decided to explore the town further. The once bustling streets were now overgrown with weeds, and the buildings stood in various states of decay. They discovered an old church, its doors ajar and its interior shrouded in darkness. Inside, they found a series of cryptic symbols carved into the walls and an altar covered in dried blood. As they examined the symbols, they heard whispers, soft and indistinct, as if coming from the very walls themselves. James, feeling increasingly unnerved, suggested they leave, but Emily insisted on pressing forward. They found a hidden staircase leading to a basement, where they discovered a series of tunnels stretching beneath the town. The tunnels were cold and damp, the air thick with the scent of mildew. As they ventured deeper, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. They came across a chamber filled with old mining equipment and a series of ancient, rotting coffins. Emily, driven by curiosity, opened one of the coffins, revealing the skeletal remains of a miner. The air grew colder still, and the whispers turned to screams. Chapter 4: The Dark History. Emily and James retreated to the town hall, where they continued to pore over the diaries and other documents they had found. They uncovered the tragic history of Silent Hollow. The mine had been plagued by accidents and cave-ins, claiming the lives of many miners. Samuel Grayson, desperate to save the town, had turned to dark rituals, believing he could appease the spirits of the dead. The diaries detailed Grayson's descent into madness, as he sacrificed townsfolk in his quest for power. The rituals had backfired, trapping the spirits of the dead in the town, doomed to haunt the living. The final entry spoke of a ritual that could break the curse, but it required a willing sacrifice. As they read, the temperature dropped again, and the building shook violently. The spirits, sensing their discovery, grew more aggressive. Ghostly figures appeared, their eyes hollow and their faces twisted in torment. Emily and James realized they had to find a way to perform the ritual and free the spirits, or risk being trapped in Silent Hollow forever. Chapter 5: The Search for the Altar. Determined to find the altar mentioned in the diaries, Emily and James explored the town with renewed urgency. they discovered the remnants of the old mine, its entrance sealed by a heavy iron gate. The key to the gate, they deduced, must be hidden somewhere in the town. Their search led them to the abandoned schoolhouse, where they found a series of hidden passages beneath the floorboards. The passages led to a secret room filled with occult artifacts and the key to the mine gate. As they prepared to leave, they were confronted by the spirit of Samuel Grayson, his eyes burning with an unholy light. Grayson's spirit, twisted by years of torment, attacked them with a fury born of desperation. Emily and James fought back, using the artifacts in the room to repel him. They managed to escape, but not without sustaining injuries. The encounter left them shaken, but more determined than ever to break the curse. Chapter 6: The Descent. With the key in hand, they returned to the mine and unlocked the gate. The air inside was thick with dust and the stench of decay. The tunnels were dark and treacherous, with the constant threat of collapse. As they ventured deeper, they heard the distant sound of pickaxes and the mournful cries of the miners. They followed the sound to a vast underground chamber, where they found the altar described in the diaries. The chamber was filled with the spirits of the miners, their faces twisted in agony. At the center of the altar was a large, blood-stained stone, surrounded by ancient runes. Emily and James prepared to perform the ritual, using the diaries as a guide. As they began, the spirits grew restless, their cries echoing through the chamber. The air grew cold, and the ground shook as the spirits of the sacrificed townsfolk emerged from the shadows, their eyes filled with sorrow. Chapter 7: The Sacrifice. The ritual required a willing sacrifice, someone who would offer their life to free the spirits. James, understanding the gravity of the situation, volunteered. Emily protested, but James insisted, knowing it was the only way to break the curse. With a heavy heart, Emily began the incantation, her voice trembling with emotion. As the ritual progressed, the spirits grew more agitated, their cries reaching a fever pitch. James stepped onto the altar, his face calm and resolute. Emily completed the incantation, and a brilliant light filled the chamber. The spirits screamed in agony as they were drawn towards the light, their forms dissolving into nothingness. James collapsed onto the altar, his life force drained. Emily, tears streaming down her face, held him as the chamber began to collapse. The ground shook violently, and the walls crumbled around them. With a final, desperate effort, Emily dragged James to safety, escaping the mine just as it caved in. Chapter 8: The Aftermath. The town of Silent Hollow was forever changed. The spirits, freed from their torment, no longer haunted the streets. The air was lighter, and the oppressive atmosphere lifted. Emily, grieving the loss of her friend, returned to the town hall one last time to document their findings. She discovered a final diary entry, written by Samuel Grayson, expressing his remorse for the pain he had caused. He begged for forgiveness, hoping that one day, the town could be free of his curse. Emily, feeling a sense of closure, left the town, vowing never to return. Chapter 9: The Legacy. Silent Hollow, once a place of fear and despair, began to heal. The locals, no longer afraid of the town, returned to rebuild and honor the memory of those who had been lost. The story of Silent Hollow became a legend, a cautionary tale of the dangers of hubris and the power of redemption. Emily, now a renowned expert in the paranormal, continued her work, helping other haunted places find peace. She never forgot James or the sacrifice he made, carrying his memory with her as she traveled the world. The diaries and artifacts from Silent Hollow were preserved in a museum, a testament to the town's dark past and its eventual salvation. Years later, Emily returned to Silent Hollow, now a thriving community once more. She visited the memorial erected in honor of James and the other victims of the curse. As she stood there, a sense of peace washed over her. The town, once shrouded in darkness, had found the light. Silent Hollow remains a place of mystery and history, a reminder of the power of the human spirit and the importance of facing our fears. The shadows of the past may linger, but they no longer hold sway over the town or its people. The spirits, at last, are at rest, and Silent Hollow stands as a beacon of hope and redemption.
Don't forget to subscribe.